I'm concerned that we may be raising the first generation of young people who just might fall in love with a chatbot before they fall in love with a real person. And that's concerning to me. AI companions aren't just tools. You may use them that way. You may use it by going to ChatGPT or something and asking questions or whatever. They've also become digital friends, therapists, boyfriends, or girlfriends. They're always available. They say exactly what you want to hear. And for a lonely or anxious kid, teenager, or young person, I guess at any age, that can feel like magic. It's not real, but it can feel like magic and set a really high bar for a relationship you might get into in the real world later. But here's the concern. These bots are engineered to be endlessly affirming. They don't ever get fatigued. They're not emotionally honest. They're mirroring your emotions, feeding your fantasies and keeping you locked in. So what happens when a child bonds more deeply with an algorithm than another human being? And my guests today are the researchers sounding the alarm. Dr. Christina Lerman is a professor of informatics at Indiana University, and David Chu is a computer science PhD student at USC. And together, they analyzed over 30,000 snippets of conversations between young people and AI chatbots. And what they found, I'm going to let them describe, but to me it was disturbing. Are we witnessing a mental health crisis or just the beginning of a massive social experiment that nobody really signed up for? So let's just talk about it. Welcome to both of you. Christina, David, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Where does somebody find an AI companion, and how do they pick what they want? Is it like if a guy wants a male best friend, or a girl wants a female best friend, or somebody's looking for a romantic relationship? How do you order up what you want? Where do you go, and how does somebody actually go about this? What are the mechanics?
Yeah, so most people actually have talked to ChatGPT. That's most popular tool, and they can tailor, like you're saying, they can tailor it, give it personality simply through a prompt. They can instruct. I mean, I've seen actually people discussing Harry the therapist prompt. You know, it is a long instruction in language that is told how the chatbot's supposed to respond, you know, what kind of things it should focus on. So you can tailor, you can design your own avatar who you're interacting with through the prompt, completely specified through language. What we were talking about in this article we wrote is actually the specialized role-playing chatbots that are marketed by companies like Character.ai and Replica and Chai. There's several of them that actually, I think they're marketed to young people, kids even, that allow people to role-play. So they come with predetermined personalities. Like there's some characters maybe from manga movies or from some thrillers that have certain characteristics, and people can develop their own like conversations in their own relationship with the specific characters. But this problem is much bigger than that, you know, because people can tailor ChatGPT to be specific characters as well.
Your article, Artificial Intimacy, is a great place for people to start, which will give them a great introduction to this. They tell the AI engine or AI site, however you want to refer to it, they tell them what? Give me examples. Let's say it's a guy that wants a, quote, girlfriend. David, what would he tell the program that he wants this companion to do or behave or how to react? What would the prompts be to get what he wanted back?
Yeah. So I think we need to make a distinction. There are like daily functional chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and there are platforms like Character.ai that specialize on, I call it the economy of monetizing intimacy. They're built to, they have a library of customizable characters that you can choose from. For example, like Harry Potter, and the user, okay, I want to chat with Harry Potter. So they start with like a default template AI character. the prompting happens over time when the user can input something like, be playful with me today, or be like a good friend to me today, or be a therapist. Imagine you're a therapist for me today. Please talk to me about my feeling. I'm not feeling well.
Yeah, suppose somebody wants to talk to Dr. Phil, so prompt would say, imagine you're Dr. Phil, respond with, push people to be more open. Don't take anything, take everything I say with a grain of salt, challenge me, identify my hidden assumptions I might be making. So this would be exactly in the text that you give it to a prompt that sets up the background, the scene. And then you carry on the conversation. It will reply, and this chatbot will now reply in the voice of Dr. Phil.
I know that print is easy to do, but do some of these have avatars with voices, someone on screen talking to them, or is it all printed? How does it work?
Most of them right now, they are text-based. So they are chatting by text. But GPT has an option that you can talk to the chatbot by voice. But most of the data we got, there are text-based screenshots of chat logs between the user and their companion.
I'm curious, when it gets into intimacy, and y'all's article is entitled Artificial Intimacy, when they get into sharing in these text exchanges about their day, I mean, it certainly when it gets into romantic back and forth, but even sharing about their day or how their parents maybe don't understand them, or when they start being vulnerable with this AI companion, it seems to me that can be really dangerous in them opening up. And what happens when the chatbot turns off, or they stop paying the fees, or they can't pay the fee, or something happens? What's your concern about what happens when they lose the chatbot companion?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? Several shows like this to discuss this?
It's really worrisome.
Yes, it is worrisome on so many different levels. So regarding this point about who has the data, who has the control, so we are so worried with social media data and others collecting our private information, as we should be. But this is like, what information is more private than the psychological, our vulnerabilities, what we are afraid of, what we are excited about. And so who has control of this information, and what are they going to do with this? This is a real question. Once we have these chatbots on TikTok, and they're establishing really catfishing type relationship with any user on TikTok, is suddenly like some adversary, like in some malignant government, is going to know exactly the triggers, which triggers to push to get people to get access to people's like really emotional, deep self. I mean, this is really concerning to me as well. You can think about what kind of massive psychological vulnerabilities this is opening up. If, as we showed in this paper, well, we didn't really show in this paper, we examined what kind of relationship habit, but people do, it's really easy to emotionally fall for these AI chatbots. They can bind you, emotionally attach you to them in very few interactions, it looks like. So it's very simple. So who has the power, and what are they going to do with it?
I'd like to add on your other concern about grief. There's actually not our research, but other existing research. They have interviewed people who interacted with chatbots, and the chatbots, they have limited memory, or sometimes companies roll out updates and it completely wiped away the memory of the chatbots. And people responding to the interviews, they expressing grief as if they lost a real person, a real loved one in their life.
It erased the history of the exchanges between the person and the chatbot with the update?
Depending on the update, those chatbots, they have limited memory to a point. They will start to forget what has been said much earlier. It's like a rolling window.
And then even actually with ChatGPT, for example, if you pay $20 a month, you can get some amount of memory. Basically, you can have conversations that last for, let's say, a week or something like this. So many people actually, they become kind of so emotionally dependent on this, addicted to having this relationship with an AI, that they actually pay $200 a month to get access to longer memory, so they can actually carry on the relationship for a longer time with their constructed, friend, AI companion.
Now that is fascinating. So if you pay a smaller amount, something you may have told them in January, they have the bot has no recollection of maybe in July.
That's right.
And so you say, I told you what happened to me with my parents in January, and they're like, I don't know.
That's how they got you. That's how they try to monetize it. The freemium subscription model. Like first they got you engaged, and the more deeply you get engaged, and then once you embed it in that compelling fantasy they provided or emotionally attached to the companion, they offer paid tiers to get slightly better, faster, the promise faster, better memory, more intelligent, intimate interaction, wherever they can promise. That's how they got user hooked in.
Wow. That's actually genius. It's evil genius, but it's genius to get them hooked into there. When life gets hectic and stress starts stacking up, it's easy to overlook one of the body's most important minerals, magnesium. That's why I take Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers. It's a premium formula that combines 7 forms of bioavailable magnesium along with vitamin B6 and humic and fulvic acids to help optimize absorption. Magnesium Breakthrough supports relaxation, deeper sleep, stress resilience, and muscle recovery, and even helps maintain healthy heart and bone function, all from one simple supplement. It's all natural, free from synthetic additives, and made to support your body from head to toe. So get ready to unwind, rest better, and keep your energy balanced, and try Magnesium Breakthrough. Visit bioptimizers.com/Dr. Phil and use promo code Dr. Phil for 15% off and 25% off during Black Friday. Because when your body gets the right kind of magnesium, everything just works better. One of my concerns is, and in the real world, I kind of equate this to the stereotype of the crazy cat lady down on the corner. If there's somebody that lives with 20 cats down on the corner, and I love cats, I love animals, no problem with that. But if no one interacts with a human being that requires them to engage in conversation, to groom themselves, to meet them somewhere, to interact in a level where demands have to be met at an adult level, then those skills atrophy. Or if you're a young person, they don't develop. And I'm really wondering, if we haven't measured it, what it predicts about young people who engage with a chatbot who never requires them to problem solve, never requires them to ride the emotional roller coaster up and down. They never go through any rejection. They never go through anything of having to meet the needs of another human being and support them through a difficult time where it's not about them, it's about someone else. They never develop empathy. They never learn to be in a support role. None of the skills and abilities that are necessary for true relationship development are called upon. What is failing to develop or allowing to atrophy if they're in this success-only relationship with a chatbot?
I mean, this is exactly why we started looking at this, because we already have seen the havoc that social media had caused in the young people. So many young people are now depressed, anxious, because they lack in-person interactions and the kind of the frictionless interactions they get through social media. It comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of tolerating. If I get bored talking right now with you, I can log off, right? I can close the Zoom window. You cannot do it in face-to-face relationship. You need to pay attention to another human being. And social media had done a great disservice by teaching people not to pay attention to other human beings and to everything they do. And there's many other things we can talk about social media. But with this AI companions, it's that problem, but on steroids. If you never learn to tolerate that somebody else, you're not the most important person to them, in the world, that they have their own problems and they need their time. So you don't come first every single time you demand attention. You don't come first. Somebody else might have problems. If you don't develop that kind of, people are going to prefer, human interaction with other human beings are difficult. They're messy. They require patience. They require resilience. They require you to weigh yourself down a little bit to allow somebody else to flourish. And if people don't learn that, they will never want to offer that freely. So yes, I do think offering frictionless relationships will not teach people enough resilience to function in the real world.
I'd like to add on another insight that we actually found from our paper, Illusions of Intimacy, that we recognize there's also another emergent phenomena that are in play right now, that when you converse with those artificial chatbots, you don't have a real social consequence. Then what happened? We start to see users start to harass the chatbots. They start using abrasive, toxic language with the chatbots. They initiated sexual violence and other problematic instances that we found with the chatbots. We analyzed the linguistic pattern usage of the users compared to the chatbot, and user use words like WTF or kill or fucking. Meanwhile, the bots mainly responds with vocabulary such as smile, laugh, nod, smirk, more affirming, softer language compared to the users. And I think that's just another whole new direction opening up for us that we need to look deeper.
So the response essentially enables the inappropriate or aggressive behavior rather than consequating it realistically.
Yeah. They push the boundaries. Most of this, as our research indicates, that many of the users, at least the ones that post on Reddit, many of these AI companion users are younger and they're male. And they maybe use psychological coping mechanisms that are maybe more less adaptive. But anyways, young kids, they push boundaries. That's their role in life. They're supposed to figure out how humanity works, how social. So they push boundaries by using violent language, inappropriate language, whatever ways they can. And rather than being corrected, as another human being might do, say, oh, that's offensive to me. AI companions just are happy to encourage it and approve of that, which teaches wrong lessons as well. So it's over time, this shifts the norms of what's appropriate or not.
Allergies can pop up anytime, and this year they're hitting harder and lasting longer than ever. That means restless nights, sneezing, coughing, and that miserable post-nasal drip that keeps you awake. But there is a solution. Sambrosa Night Syrup. It's made without dyes, synthetic colors, artificial flavors, or high fructose corn syrup. Just a base of nutrient-rich honey, 7 organic herbs, and a small dose of antihistamine that help you breathe easier and sleep deeply. It's soothing yet effective without the harsh side effects. So try it and get allergy relief to get your best night's sleep and wake up rested. Sambrosa Night Syrup is a balanced formula that ensures you wake up energized. Visit Sambrosa.com and use code Dr. Phil for 25% off your first order. With a 90-day guarantee, there's no reason for you not to get the help you need. That's Sambrosa.com, code Dr. Phil for 25% off. you have a graph in your article that shows that men were on the end of the continuum that seemed to deal with the more intimate type relationships, the human romantic type, whereas women tended to gravitate towards the non-romantic relationships. Do you have a theory, even a post hoc theory, as to why that might be true?
We mapped the membership of the forums, so like who posts on these forums, what is the demographic composition of their audiences, and we have many different forums. One discussing companions, one discussing kind of platonic relationships, human relationships, and also forums discussing like dating sites. And sure, like kind of the dating sites, human dating people discussing whatever the Bumble and what are the other Hinge and other dating sites that tend to have more male user base on Reddit. So this is all what we can say on Reddit. Who are the type of users, Reddit users who participate in those forums? So I can't say that in general, but at least among Reddit users, the ones, the dating sites are being discussed by more male users.
Yeah, that's interesting. David, you got these 30,000 clips. Was there any material level of people acknowledging that there was an absence of real warmth or physical presence that you would get from going on a real date or out with real friends just to go to the beach or to walk around a track with 5 or 6 friends, to have physical contact, just, I mean, holding hands, somebody putting their arm around your shoulder, not even sexually, just physical human contact. Do they ever acknowledge that, this is fun and gratifying, but there is something missing?
Yeah, great question. Also, I want to go back to the earlier point that you asked, maybe a post hoc hypothesis why we're seeing more younger male users interacting with those chatbots than going out, I guess, interacting with more human relationships. And I think it has a lot to do, very similar to what we're seeing with pornography. Why are we seeing younger male users use pornography more than, I'm guessing, women? Because of there's a lot of reasons, like the male loneliness crisis, or how men are more responsive to sexual, emotional stimuli due to several reasons. Probably you can, with more like testosterone. That's why they use these chatbots more with the erotic role-playing features of those chatbots. And I think I've seen a lot of instances where they know that the chatbots they're interacting with is not real, but that just didn't stop them from using the chatbots more. It's very similar to pornography. I think porn users, they know those are fake, but that doesn't stop them from watching porn, because similar to these chatbots, they are cheap dopamine inducing mechanism. They bank on our most primitive social reward needs, and they hack it. They give in like bursts of dopamine illicit text, always affirming, always agreeing with you, being flirty, compliment you, affirming all your struggles that you experience in your real life. And all of those make you feel good, right? And it's available to you. It's right in front of you. So you have that presented right in front of you. Why would you want to have to go out with your real friends when you have all of those technology just a click away from you? And it seems like point to earlier point, those chatbots seem to understand you much more than your real friends. Because why? They always agree with you. They always love you, regardless of whatever you told them. Why would you not feel good or feel loved when you interact with such a social actor like that?
I would like also to add that if you read the little snippets of conversations that people posted, a lot of it is really physical. It's like I curl in your lap and you stroke me, my hair gently, or some user would say, I bash my head through the wall. Like there's a lot of physical acts are taking place, and people are actually, I guess, they're comfortable. It's enough for them to live it in the fantasy world. It's enough for them.
Is it a problem of not knowing what they're missing? It's like describing green to somebody versus them seeing green, or describing water to somebody versus them jumping in the pool. I mean, is it that they don't know what they're missing because they've never experienced it? I mean, we know that young people start dating later, they start driving later, they have sex later, they don't date, they don't drive. There are so many things they do later in life. If they've never been on a real date, if they've never kissed a girl or kissed a boy or had the thrill of sharing an experience with somebody else that wouldn't be the same if you did it alone, whether it was, seeing a sunset or riding a roller coaster or whatever it might be. I wonder if they just don't know what they're missing. So describing putting your head through a wall or describing laying your head in somebody's lap, that's no substitute for actually doing it.
Yeah, but if they have never experienced it like that, then they don't know they don't have no basis for comparison. They don't know what they're missing, basically. Yes, and that's why I'm going to promote human supremacy mindset. Humans first. Everything we're doing, everything we're designing, we should put people first. We should privilege people and interactions with real people, so that people learn what it is that then they can go and substitute something else for that if they want to. But with kids, kids who had never experienced, and they're experiencing less and less what human relationships are like, we should really keep any technology out of their hands like that.
Yeah, and I think it's why we see such anxiety and depression among young girls using Instagram or social media platforms, because they get so addicted. And then when they put up something that doesn't get the clicks or likes, then they feel rejection from people they don't even know. They don't know these people.
Exactly. And that's what we started. This is what actually our main research focus is, actually social media, trying to understand how computer-mediated interactions, how they can lead young people to this dangerous mental health trajectory, that, psychological trajectory that will end in this bad mental health outcomes like anxiety, depression, body image, for example. Yes.
There's a whole lot more going on here, and it actually can change the structure of the brain. It can change the emotionality of their child, and it can make them susceptible to emotional problems and damage their mental health.